Number one, it taxes the economy, and it doesn't get to the real folks that should have some way of controlling their greenhouse gases. That's the reason that I'm a great believer in the alternative fuels. I'm a great believer in wind and solar, and have a record of voting and promoting that. I'm for the fuel cells. It's the technology that's being developed here in your School of Engineering. That's the way it is. And yes, I wouldn't, but we have to do everything that we can do and stay within the economy and keep it growing that we can to deal with greenhouse gases. There's no doubt about that. We've been warming since the Ice Age. Since the Ice Age, we've been warming. And that continues. That's a pretty well-known fact. But we will continue. We will continue to do R&D and our alternative fuels and to make them work for us.
1 minute.
Thank you.
Jon Tester.
This is 1 minute, Gene?
Yes.
Okay, well, first of all, I think that us pulling out of the Kyoto Accord is exactly what's wrong. We need to have communication with our folks around the world. This is a worldwide problem. I hope it's a glitch in the environment, but even if it is, we need to treat it like it is not. Fact is the communication with this administration has been terrible. We all know what happened in North Korea yesterday. That is a result of very, very bad communication. It's the same thing with the greenhouse gas issue. And I will point out something, with the exception of wind and solar. You still have carbon emissions from other renewables like biofuels and ethanol. The truth is the polar ice cap is half as thick as it was in 1950. We've got to dedicate some research dollars, and Montana State University can be a big player in determining how we can sequester carbon and solve this carbon issue. Because the truth is right now, the Earth has warmed since the Ice Age, is correct, but it's warming much more rapidly now than it ever has in our history. And please don't. Please don't. And we can solve this problem, but it's going to take some research dollars and some commitment and some leadership in Washington, D.C. The folks that there can't do it, we need a change.
Thank you. Stan Jones.
There is global warming. It's very slight. It's a recovery from what's called the Little Ice Age, where the average temperatures were much lower over the average of the last 1,000 years. In the years from around 500 to 1000 AD, the temperatures on this earth were much higher than they are right now. Global warming is a natural recovery from the small ice age. It's not harmful. Most of it is only happening in the northern hemisphere. And scientists have proven that carbon dioxide emissions contribute only about 5% of the total greenhouse gases. Now, if we reduce that worldwide, do you think it's going to have a big impact on greenhouse gases? No, it will not. It will not have a significant impact whatsoever. This is a natural occurrence, and we should not make any effort to change it.
Thank you, Stan Jones. And I do understand we have time for one more 1 minute response question. And Jon Tester will have first response. Executive authority. How do the candidates feel about the president's use of executive authority, particularly pertaining to illegal wiretapping or warrantless wiretapping? And your response. 1 minute.
It deals with freedoms, the freedoms that so many people have fought and died for in this country. The fact is, if we want to get serious about the war on terror, we need to make the investments to fight the war on terror. We ought not be taking rights away from our tax-paying, honest citizens in this country. That's exactly what's transpiring there. If we've got cells throughout the world, let's invest in human intelligence, let's invest in our special forces, and let's go after them. Let's be serious, and let's not get sidetracked by a war in Iraq by pulling troops out of Afghanistan in 2002. The fact is that we've got a situation right now in this country where we're taking freedoms away from people, honest people. And you heard the list. If you happen to fall in, or they think you happen to fall into them, you're a target. The truth is that if there's a cell, by the time they figure out that cell exists, they'll have the information they need and the warrants they need to be able to tap into medical records and gun sales and those kind of things that a good senator wants to let them have carte blanche. Any old way, and I'll tell you something, the government ought not be taking away freedoms.
Stan Jones.
Thank you. once again, I referred to this in my opening, we've lost our Fourth Amendment rights. There's no protection under the Fourth Amendment to our privacy. And Senator, I'm sorry, but you're telling me I'm guilty of being a terrorist first. Yes, all you have to do is accuse me of being a terrorist, and the Patriot Act applies to me. I'm guilty and have to prove my innocence. No, you've turned our legal system upside down. And the executive orders that follow the Patriot Act are the same. We have to turn this off. We have to impeach this president.
Conrad Burns, a 1-minute response, please.
Well, I'll tell you the guy that set the record for doing executive orders, and that was the administration prior to George W. Bush. There was a lot of them, and I mean a lot of them, and they too pushed the envelope as far as the Constitution is concerned. Well, let me go back on this Patriot Act. It is a tool that is in place now for drug kingpins and organized crime. Why don't you want that extended to terrorists? Why are you want to put in jeopardy the safety and security for everybody in this room? Do you want to do that? Then you repeal it. And that's what Mr. Tester wants to do. He wants to repeal it. And I will tell you, there goes the Meth Control Act and the ability to monitor international phone calls from known numbers of people who want to kill us.
Conrad, thank you. Well, we are now into the final round, closing statements that were determined before the debate got underway. Candidates will have 3 minutes to sum up. Stan Jones, your closing statements.
Thank you. I wish to thank the sponsors for inviting me. I don't often get invited. This was an important debate. I had planned another closing message, but I feel compelled to say what I'm about to say. Now, I risk sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but it's no longer a theory. What I'm about to say is fact. The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. They have planned and are now leading us into a one-world communist government. The combining of national governments started with the European Union. That union started with trade agreements, then a common currency, the euro, and now a European Parliament that is feverishly passing laws that override the laws of the member nations. A constitution was drafted but rejected by a few of those nations, but never mind. They implemented it anyway. Now it's North America's turn. Building on the North American Free Trade Agreement, the NAFTA section of the Commerce Department is busy drafting laws and regulations for a North American Union, a union of Canada, America, and Mexico. The President has attended secret meetings and signed at least 2 agreements under the Security and Prosperity Partnership Program. Information leaked out about the meetings, and now it is all in the open. No treaty has been signed, so Congress has not become involved. However, money from our Treasury is now being spent for this effort. We will have a new currency, the Amero, and a new constitution, modeled on the Soviet Union's constitution. Our rights will not be inalienable, but they will be granted by government, who can also take them away. One sign that this is our future is the plans for the superhighways from southern Mexico through America and into Canada. These plans are not secret any longer. Huge amounts of property will be taken in the name of free trade, peace, and security. You will have a national ID card with a radio frequency chip in it. That's already law in America and will be implemented by May 2000. This man voted for it. You will not be able to move about freely. This is terrorism of the most worst kind, brought on you by our own government. The strongest, freest nation in the history of mankind will be averaged into world communism. Is that what you want? Are we the people still in control of this nation? We must begin to act like we are.
Stan Jones.